So I'd like to
Yeah.
ask, how can one get involved in the real estate space? To it, once you just see land and someone says, "Oh, come and get this land. How much is it?" That's what we are thinking about. We're not thinking about the documentation. We're not thinking about access to road. We're not thinking about nearest to water.
Hello, everybody. Today we are about to talk about real estate, opportunities in the real estate space, how to start, who to talk to, the opportunities that avail in the industry, and so much more. And so, with no other further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest. She has been doing this for a while. She's an expert.
Good day to you, madam.
Good day. How are you, Barrister?
Very well, madam. Good to have you with us this day.
Nice to be here too. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Our guest today is Madam Mrs. Bunmi Obidare. She's the MD, CEO of TB&T Investment Company Limited, a real estate company here in Lagos State, but has tentacles across the country and even to the West African countries. She's here today to talk to us about the opportunities in the real estate space, how we can play in the industry, the entry level, whether you can do this without capital, and some other fundamentals that we'll discuss as we go on. This promises to be very educative. It's not just a video, it's a discussion about investments that would open us up to opportunities that are available. I want us to tell our friends to join us as we go on. There's a lot of opportunities in this industry. Madam, I was telling them that there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. The wars you see around are wars of real estate. If we don't know of any other, at least the war between Russia and Ukraine is very evident. After the months of war, we have now realized that Putin is doing this because of the land of Ukraine. I saw in the news, in Al Jazeera news sometimes ago, that they begin to do referendum for some of their land in Ukraine, and that the people want to be part of Russia, which US says is a sham, but I mean that's what Russia has taken it to be. And I saw that the headline of the Al Jazeera news that Russia has taken over the land of Ukraine, and so it's about land. Everywhere we go to is one thing about land. It's always one thing about land. So I'd just like you to tell us, what is this real estate itself? What does it entail?
Whether man-made or natural, so the physical land, waters, built structures, anything at all associated with land is what we refer to as real estate.
Okay, thank you. So you are saying in nutshell now that when we talk about real estate, we're talking about land and everything that associates with it.
Yes. Mountains, hills, rivers, seas, skyscraper, farmland, anything at all that has to do with land.
No wonder in law we say quid plateau solo said it, meaning that whoever owns the land owns everything above the land and below the land. So
Yes.
now, and even
and the mineral resources underneath it, whether you know it's there or not.
Yes, thank you. A country like US now, when you hold a land, if you find mineral resources beneath the land, it belongs to you. But in this part of the world, there are some mineral resources, especially in Nigeria, that once the government knows that it's there, then I mean it becomes a federal property. So thank you for that definition, making us understand that when we talk about real estate, we're talking about things underneath, things above it, and 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 the properties therein. Now, no wonder we see in some areas in Lagos now that they're no more selling plot of land; they are selling plot of water. And
That's interesting. Yes,
and, and,
yes. And thank God for
and
technology that can help you build on water. So if you actually know what you're doing, you can build on water without encroaching on the water itself and the purposes of the water.
Interesting. Even where I'm speaking to you from right now is on the water.
Wow,
This place
that's
was,
interesting.
I don't know if I can show people, this place was sand-filled to this level.
Yeah.
If you can
Yeah.
see around, it's actually water, but it was sand-filled to this level. But before,
okay, but
people
actually, as an environmentalist, there's a level
yes,
to which we should encroach on natural resources, and that is why we have all manner of emergencies coming up and natural disasters, because people have encroached on waterways. So we need to know to what extent we can sandfield. It's good to sandfield, but you can't overcome nature. Nature has a good control over itself. So if you encroach, it will someday come back to ask for its space. So before we keep sandfilling, we need to do research, survey on the areas. Where is this water coming from? Where is it flowing to? If we block it, what effects will it have? If there's heavy rainfall, what will happen? All those things are critical. So we can't say because we have technology now, we have so much knowledge, we can just keep sandfilling. No, it is not so. Also, there are also other organisms, other living things in those waters that balance the ecosystem. So if we sandfill everywhere, those things will not be there. That means we're killing fishes, we're killing the fungi, the algae. So there should be a limit. There should be a limit. There are laws regulating these things, but whether we're actually taking to them is another ballgame.
Thank you for that educative insights. We would try and see how we can balance that up in Lagos these days. But
It's necessary.
are you trying to tell us that there's still land to be purchased here in Lagos and other parts of this country that will not encroach into land or into the canal and things like that?
No, I didn't get that.
I said, are you trying to tell us now that there are still other lands that one can do his real estates or that one can amass for real estates aside waterways, lands beside canals in Lagos State and part of the country?
Definitely. We have some mountainous places. Just ensure that you do your research enough to know that it's safe to build there. You can build on mountains. If you look at them inland, apart from Lagos State, all these Ekiti and people building on rocks. It's still land. So anything that you think you're comfortable with, people are going to the moon, Mars. We're going to be building there. As long as they think it's safe, why not?
Very well, madam. So I'd like to ask, how can one get involved in the real estate space?
It all depends on the level with which you want to play, whether as an investor or a service provider. Like we hear about realtors. Realtors are actually service providers. People who have seen opportunities of land, buildings, resorts, whatever, anywhere, and they want to, bridge the gap of people looking for what to buy, what to rent, and people who are looking for who to rent or buy their things, sellers and buyers. users. So there's some people who, they are not only users, they also own. They own a portion of this earth, the land, the waters, in whatever way. So it depends on what aspects individuals actually want to play. But everyone have a role to play. If you're renting a space as where you live, a 2-bedroom flat, you're also playing a role, because you have you're buying or you're renting from someone who owns. You can't own and you're not making anything from it. So the whole essence is the advantage, what you're gaining from real estate. So it differs from person to person. And in whatever way you think as an individual you want to play, you're free to, if you know how.
Thank you very much, Wanda. Initially, when we were talking about building around waterways and things like that, I just remembered and you talked about one should be careful about the regulations in each of the states and in the country. I know that in Lagos State, for example, you are not supposed to build about 50 meters away from a canal. 15 meters from a canal is supposed to be a setback. And one of the ways in which you can know this is when you take a coordinate of the land you're about to purchase or do business with, and let it be charted on the GPS. Once the coordinate is placed on the GPS, it would show how many meters it's away from the canal. It would let you know whether it's 14 meters away, 15 meters away. Like where I am is about 40 meters away. And so when you are aware of that, then you would be able to make the right decision. If you see it's so close to the canal, then it's preferable to walk away from the deal. It's not all deals that are perfect deals. And just like you mentioned initially, the submersion that is happening in other parts of in parts of Nigeria is something that we must put into consideration. In Benue State, you see water submerging houses to their roof level. And
even in Lokoja recently, it happened in Lokoja recently, and everywhere was just filled. I was wondering, how will these people survive? I can't imagine such a scenario.
Exactly. And it all starts from the planning stage or the acquiring stage. Most of us are not, we don't avail our minds to it. Once we just see land and someone says, oh, come and get this land, how much is it? That's what we are thinking about. We're not thinking about the documentation, we're not thinking about access to road, we're not thinking about nearest to waterways and all that. So one of the things I just think right away, because it's an issue we are dealing with at this period, and we're told about the weather people that we are still going into more rains. I think at this period we should be careful about water. Whenever we are shown opportunity of real estate, then one of the searches we are supposed to do is to be sure how close this thing is to the water. If it's close, and I think it was recently I also knew the fact that it's very important to take coordinate of the land, not just to find out whether it's under acquisition, but to know whether it's close to the waterways. It's from that coordinates, and when it's being charted on GPS, you will know much more about the land. Aside from being,
and that is why government have regulations and permits at different stages. You need to have a permit that says you can build here. And at times it looks as if government is too high-handed, but it's all because of all these basic things. You need to have a permit. Government knows everywhere. They have different ministries that are in charge of different things. So they know what is adequate. They know what is expected. So they give permits and they will say, you can't build here. They know why they have said you can't build here. Or if you must build here, this is what you need to put in place. So people need to put their minds on these things. It's for our own good. And we need to abide with all these regulations and ensure we have permits to be sure we are safe for now and future.
Thank Thank you very much, madam. Now, when you were answering the question how we can get involved in real estate, you mentioned we can operate as sellers, buyers, owners, tenants, all have
Financing, yes, financing too. Can play a
financing,
role in financing. Yeah.
all have a role to play in real estate. And you also said that one can play as a
Even
realtor as
legal services too.
well.
It's not all lawyers
Thank
that
you.
know about real estate. Yes, yes. I work with a crop of lawyers that are into real estate, and they've been doing that for years. In fact, some people at times think I'm a lawyer. I say, no, I'm not a lawyer. It's not that I worked over the time and with experience, know so much. So I'm not a lawyer. So you need to, in whatever space you want to play, there's
You're
a
right.
lot. The supply
So,
chain is huge. Even if it's internal decor, internal interior decoration, landscaping, it's huge. It's all real estate. You're providing trees, flowers that befit a particular area. It's all part of real estate.
you're right, because these days you find out that people do not want to engage services of some of these providers anymore. They think they know it all. You see, people want to acquire land and don't want to involve service of a legal practitioner. And when things
Even
get
as a realtor, if any of my clients want to buy anything, I go to my lawyer and say, please let me look at this. See what the seller has given us. These are the documents the seller has given us. Help me look at it. What else should we be asking? What questions should we be asking for? It's just important every now and then. So it's not just about buying. There are a lot of things that will go wrong along the time you show interest to the time you're buying. There's a lot of processes involved. So one should not just joke with consultancy in real estate. In whatever way you want to play, yeah, it's key.
Yeah.
Speak with the professionals in whatever area. If you want to do survey, speak with people who know about surveyors. If it's building, talk with them, engineers, structural engineers. Just do the right thing. If it's documentation, speak with lawyers. So don't just do things. If it's time to speak with the government, go there, walk in, ask questions, have the right permits, have the right answers to your questions. It helps a lot.
over the decades while I've practiced as a lawyer, I've seen that a lot of people want to buy the services of lawyers and other professionals.
And at the end that they now regret it. Somebody told me recently that she bought the land, in fact, not less than 2-3 people in the last few weeks, that the lands were not delivered. What do they do? I said, sorry, I don't know your agreement with these people. I don't know the terms of your purchase or selling. I say, I advise you seek the advice of a lawyer. That was just because I can't delve into. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the agreements that bind the two of you together. And even if I read it, I'm not a lawyer. That's not my own call. You need to also consult. That was just the advice I gave. I said, get a lawyer, get the service of a lawyer, a real estate lawyer, not just any lawyer. They will help you look into what it is and advise you on a way forward. That's it.
That's why they say if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. If you think a lawyer is expensive, then try doing it on yourself. Because you just find out sometimes you just see people approach business centers and say they want to get documentation. And so sometimes when clients come with this kind of thing, I'll tell them that different lands have different facts embedded in it. So you can't use a straitjacket information. So different lands have different facts embedded in it. And so you can't use one straitjacket facts to prepare information.
Yeah.
So that's good to do. Now you mentioned realtors so a couple of minutes ago. So who is a realtor?
A realtor is somebody who has picked interest in rendering services pertaining to buying, selling, renting, managing, whatever it is, whatever services that are associated with land and everything associated with it, like we defined earlier on, helping people to buy, to sell, maintain, depending on what your client wants from you.
That's interesting to know. I used to think that a realtor is just someone that helps you to get land deals, to purchase land.
Yes, but the point is, you can't just help to purchase land. Like I told you, when a client of mine wants to purchase land, it's about the client, not me. So some people say, where do you advise? I say, no, I can only advise based on your interest, on your goals. I ask you, what are you trying to achieve in short and long term? What's your budget? You know, different questions. That is when I can advise you on, oh, you can go for this or go for that. And eventually when we see something, I also advise you, we need the services of a lawyer to help us do things. Or we also need the service of a surveyor. So even though you are not the one doing the survey, you are not the one doing the legal, whatever, but you advise, you guide the buyer on what and what to do until the person perfects that purchase. That's it. That's what the service of a realtor should be, not just the scenario of exchanging the property and the money and collecting your agency fee. No, it's more than that. What's the point collecting agency fee and your client that has bought is having problems? So it's beyond just linking buyer and seller together and walking away. We don't do that in my company. We're after your satisfaction. So from beginning to start of when you're satisfied, even when you are now, some of our clients who also want to perfect their documents, they still keep calling you, how far with the documentation? Hope you're not having challenges here and there. You know, till the person is satisfied, we're just there. And we have clients that 4 years after they've bought, they will still come back to you because they know they enjoyed the services earlier. They still want more, one advice or the other. So that's it.
Exactly. And for every satisfied customer, there's always a repeat business from it.
Yes, so that's what we enjoy. We enjoy that a lot. Some even buy to rent out. They'll still come back. Can you help me rent out? Say, yes, we can help you rent out. Help them look for clients, do due diligence about the person that wants to rent. So we're not just renting the property to people who you can't rely on. There was a brief network problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to ask, so how many years experience does one need to be able to become a realtor?
We learn every day. Hey, I can't, as little as, it depends on the individual that wants to learn. Like when I started off helping. I just love to help people. Since I was young, when I didn't even have any money at all, I'd always heard that real estate is good, having land is good, having house is good, you know, those kind of things. So I made up my mind. I would put my mind in real estate. So I kept looking into anything real estate, even though I'm buying or just poke my nose into anything real estate. Over time, I got to know so much. I kept advising families and friends and all that. So at a point, I said, oh, I could actually make money from this thing. And I started. Unfortunately, the month I made up my mind, I got this flyer and inviting lady realtors, women in real estate, for a training at the United States Consulate. It was organized by Mrs. Chukunonso Onieze. And it was a year training. It was a year throughout the year. You know, we had different guest speakers coming to tell us their experience, what you need to do as a realtor. So training is key. So depending on how long it takes you to train, to learn basics, so within 6 months, 1 year, you have the basics. The other ones you will learn as you go, as you are open to learning. Some may not be open to learning, they just want to do it this way. But we learn every day. Every brief comes with a different scenario. There's no brief that is exactly, the same. So there's a basic learning and there's an ongoing learning. But within a year, one should be able to stand on one's feet. And also look out for registering with government. For Lagos State is LASRERA, Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority. So I guess we have that for every country, every state. Look out for the important agencies you need to register with. That's it, and you're good to go.
That's important. This training you talked about with the U.S. consulate, how many years ago was that?
That was about 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
6 years ago. 6 years ago. Yeah.
I understand that Life Page group in this month of October 2022 at their office at Bagada. And I think this is an opportunity for those that are interested in becoming realtors to join the group. The group has been existent. The company has been existent for over 10 years, and they have been delivering satisfying satisfaction to their customers. And you and I belong to that.
Yeah, I'm also a partner of Life Page.
Life Page. And they're having their boot camp in October. So for anyone that's interested, can reach out to either myself or Madam will give you further details on how you can join. And we try and even throw in the flyers for people to join. If you want to have knowledge about being a realtor, because she has mentioned that you need to learn for about between a year thereabouts, and even their program is you start with a weekend, then with that you keep building on it. There are communities where you can learn, the opportunities to even learn about sales, and which you are doing with Portfolio and all that. So it's a community of its own, if you agree with me. Even this last
yeah. I also want to encourage those who have been in this line to please show up. You can't finish learning. It's an everyday learning. I don't joke with trainings. Some people say, but this. I said, there's nothing like It could just be a sentence. It could just be a phrase that will change perceptions. Yeah. So I don't joke with trainings. Any opportunity to grab something, I am there. So I'll also be there at the boot camp, by God's grace. Yes. So whether you're starting afresh or you've been there for long, there's always something to learn. And recently too, we've been in Paul Fo's training. It's been a huge one for me. Yeah. So I'm doing more of system structure. Before now, I don't go on Instagram and all that because I have a lot of other things to do. I just realized things have changed. A lot of things are changing. So you just got to align. So it's not about knowing how to buy, sell. It's about knowing what to do at the right time in this age. And for weeks now, Paul Fo has been training us on Courtesy Life Page on how to sell real well in this age. So you don't have a choice. Be out there, whether you like it or not. And I'm glad that has happened to me.
I actually told a friend of mine. Yes, I actually told a friend of mine who's a lawyer that we belong to this community together. I told her, let us do this discussion together. She said she's not interested, and I quite understand because as lawyers we are conservative. There's always a thin line between what is fit and proper and whatever we're doing. So I understand, but I mean, we need to we need to let people know what is happening in the industry, how we can guide them. Because we have mentioned some things today that some people are not aware.
It's important. it's really important. People are really playing down the importance of legal matters. And at the end of it, they get into so much trouble. Like a client of mine recently, most of my clients are in diaspora because I don't only sell real estate. I offer trust and reliability. People who know me, they will tell you, give Bunmi something and go to sleep. It's as good as done. We're out there to ensure people are getting value for whatever investment, whatever interest they have talked with us about. So I told him, sorry, you're in diaspora. We want us to manage things for you. We need power of attorney. I spoke, if I didn't even know, I thought he would just, do some writing and say, I am giving you consent to do this and that, which we did. But when I now spoke to my lawyer, I said, no, that you don't need, you won't need just that. You need a power of attorney. All this thing is saying you should do on his behalf, you can't just do like that. So, but some people will just think it's not necessary. But from experience, I know it is key. So I just spoke with my lawyer, oh, I have this brief, and this is, he has given me consent. So I said, oh, good, he has given me a written consent, but you need a power of attorney. And I discussed with the client, and he said, oh, that would be great. And we're on it now. So it's key. So that with that power of attorney, there is a limit to what will likely go wrong, because the lawyer has encompassed everything that may likely be involved into that document. So everybody is safe. So it's key that we let people know documentations, legal advice, they are key.
It's good you mentioned power of attorney. Because I remember some years ago, even myself, there was a client that approached me that someone was managing a property presently as an agent, but he did not like the way he was handling it. They had trust issues, and so he wanted me to come in. And I mean, naively, I just told him, no problem. I wrote the tenants that they're not to deal with the agent again, but to deal with us. And so along the line, the client started receiving monies from the tenant. And so I approached him, sir, this is supposed to be based on commission. So what about commission? Do you know what he told me? He said, let's move on. But because there was no power of attorney, there was no documentation between us, that's why I could hold him accountable for it. And I'm sure that a lot of people, I don't believe that because I was a lawyer and because he has been my client, we could just take it on face value.
You assumed it was a given. I don't know why people shy away from paying for services. Well, it's not going anywhere. If you want services, then you must be ready to. There's a limit to which you can do things free. That's it. I also observe that it's really common among people in this part of the world, and even those who have immigrated outside, they've taken that abroad. I said, excuse me, can't tell me because you live in a place, can you go to any real estate office there and not register and pay consultancy fee? You can't. I don't intend to work with everyone. I'm available. In fact, to a large extent, I will have given you a lot of information. But when it comes to down to earth practicality of it, you've got to sign documents with my company. We've got to pay basic amount to engage us. If you can't do that, sorry. How do we survive? How do we even render the service if we have not been empowered? So they say, Bunmi, you're objective, but you're ethical, yet you are too ethical. I say, if you say so. For me, it's a process, it's a system. So if you don't fall into it, we can't help you. And I don't intend to work with everybody. The people who value our services will come, they will complete the forms, they will pay the basic amount. At the end of the day, they gain more than they have even paid. I say 4 years later, people come. You can't tell them to come and pay because you render the service like they become family. They get cheap services, free, almost free every now and then. Just give a call. Hey, this is. You tell them what to do. You tell them this is what to do.
Exactly. That's how I tell people that when you pay for service, you pay for the person's commitment. If you don't pay for my service and you're just asking
Yeah.
for a phone call, I won't give you the. I can't be down to earth because there's no commitment between us. So we shortchange ourselves sometimes when we feel that, okay, I want the advice, if you advice. I will tell you some things, but I can't go to the nitty-gritty. And I can't be blamed for it. So
Yeah.
you're right about that. So we must not downplay. I think right away we just tell our people that we cannot downplay the importance of documentation. Even myself, I just shared an experience
Documentation.
because I didn't have a document.
It has saved me a lot of trouble. And you know, people ask me, did you see that there will be something wrong? I say, no, it's not about seeing something wrong. It's about what is proper and right to do. Just do the right things, do the proper things step by step. So when you arrive at a point where there is maybe issues, it's easy to sort out because there have been documentations right from the beginning. You can't be asking me to help you get a property when I don't have any. In fact, whatever you want, you must write it down. If you can't write, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You must document it. So at the end of the day, you can't tell me, oh, this is not what I said. I will show you what you said.
I mean, you are talking like a lawyer. You have mixed with lawyers.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything we do these days must be documented one way or the other. If it's not, yes, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We hope some other time when we call on
My
you,
pleasure.
we can do this again, where we look at other aspects
Yeah.
of real estate.
Okay,
Or do you have
have
any
a great day.
parting words for our audience and those that will be seeing this later?
For everyone who will be opportuned to look at this live broadcast, it's good to play in real estate. It belongs to us all. So at whatever level, just ensure you're doing something. Yeah, Rome is not built in a day. So in whatever level, you know, some people they dream big. It's good to dream big. There was a time I was going to say, you're always buying land.
So we cannot hear you well.
Okay. God sees all that. Oh, I said everyone should have a way to play a role in real estate, that it belongs to us all. Anywhere you are, in any part of the world, is level by level. Rome was not built in a day. So I was saying that I remember there was a time my husband would say, you're always buying land in bush. I say, hey now, God knows what he has provided for me. And that's my capacity. So if the bush is my capacity, I beg, I will buy the bush. Those bushes now, hey, something else. You can imagine a land of 60,000 naira now, 4 point something million. So whatever it is, even though we like good things, if your capacity is not there yet, just make sure you're buying from a right source. That small investment will become huge sometime. And for realtors, let's get trained, let's know laws, let's do documentations for how it saves everyone, it saves all stakeholders. Let's document as much as possible. Let's do the right things. Let's patronize professionals. It's good, it's key, so that we won't be having houses falling down, you know, submersion of houses, you know, so many other disasters.
Thank you so much again. Have a great day.
Thank you. I need to take care. Bye.